The wealthiest people in America pay almost no income tax. Not because they cheat, because they use a strategy called buy, borrow, die. Today you're going to learn exactly how it works. Welcome to Wealth Can Do. This is how billionaires avoid paying taxes legally. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett. Their effective tax rates are lower than a middle-class worker, not 15%, not 10%. In some years, 0. ProPublica analyzed IRS data and found that the 25 richest Americans paid an average true tax rate of 3.4% between 2014 and 2018. The median American household pays 14% federal income tax. How is this possible? A three-step strategy. Buy, borrow, die. By the end of this video, you will understand how the wealthy legally avoid taxes, why the tax code allows this, whether you can use this strategy, and what this means for wealth inequality. This is buy, borrow, die. Let's break it down. Step 1. Buy, but not just anything. Buy assets that appreciate in value without generating taxable income. What does this mean? The wealthy buy stocks, real estate, businesses, art. Assets that grow in value but don't produce taxable events until you sell. Example, Jeff Bezos owns Amazon stock. The stock goes from $100 to $3,000 per share. His net worth increases by billions. But he doesn't owe any taxes. Why? Capital gains are only taxed when you sell. This is called unrealized gains. The gains exist on paper, but you haven't sold, so no taxable event. No taxes owed. If Bezos owns 1 million shares at $100, and they go to $3,000, he gained $2.9 billion. But if he doesn't sell, he pays 0 taxes on that $2.9 billion gain. This is how billionaires increase net worth while paying minimal taxes. They buy appreciating assets and never sell them. Compare this to a W-2 worker earning $100,000 per year. That $100,000 is taxed immediately. Federal income tax, state tax, Social Security, Medicare. They pay $20,000 to $30,000 in taxes before they even see the money. The billionaire with $100 million in stock appreciation? 0 taxes until they sell. Wage income is taxed the moment you earn it. Capital appreciation is taxed only when you sell. This is the foundation of the strategy. Don't generate taxable income. Generate unrealized capital gains. Why does the tax code allow this? The U.S. tax system only taxes realized income. If you haven't sold the asset and converted the gain to cash, it's not considered income. It's just paper wealth. This makes sense for small investors. If your 401k goes from $100,000 to $150,000, you shouldn't pay taxes on that $50,000 gain until you withdraw it in retirement. But billionaires exploit this. They accumulate billions in unrealized gains and use the next step to access that wealth without ever triggering a taxable sale. That brings us to step 2, borrow. Instead of selling your assets and paying capital gains tax, borrow money using your assets as collateral. Here's how it works. You own $100 million in stock. You need $5 million for living expenses, buying a house, starting a business, whatever. Option 1. Sell $5 million in stock. Pay 20% long-term capital gains tax plus 3.8% net investment income tax. Total, 23.8% tax. You pay $1.19 million in taxes. You net $3.81 million. Option 2. Borrow $5 million using your $100 million in stock as collateral. Pay 2 to 4% interest on the loan. Pay 0 taxes. You get the full $5 million. Which option do billionaires choose? Option 2. Every time. This is called securities-backed lending or portfolio loans. Banks love this because it's low risk. Your stock is collateral. If you don't repay, they seize your stock. Interest rates on these loans are 2 to 4% because the bank's risk is 0. You have $100 million backing a $5 million loan. Let's do the math. You borrow $5 million at 3% interest. That's $150,000 per year in interest. Your $100 million stock portfolio grows at 10% average historical S&P 500 return. That's $10 million in gains per year. You pay $150,000 in interest. Your portfolio grows $10 million. Net gain, $9.85 million. And you paid 0 taxes. If you had sold $5 million in stock instead, you'd pay $1.19 million in taxes. By borrowing, you saved $1.19 million, and your $100 million keeps compounding. Over 10 years, this saves tens of millions in taxes while your wealth continues growing. Real-world examples. Elon Musk has borrowed over $20 billion against his Tesla stock. Instead of selling shares and paying billions in capital gains tax, he borrows at low interest rates and pays almost nothing in income tax. Larry Ellison, founder of Oracle, has borrowed $9 billion against his stock holdings. Steve Jobs took a $1 salary at Apple and borrowed against his stock for living expenses. Zero income tax. This is not illegal. This is not a loophole. This is the tax code working exactly as written. Loans are not taxable income. When you take out a mortgage, you don't pay income tax on the loan. Same principle, the wealthy just do it on a massive scale. But here's the critical question. How do they pay back the loans? They don't. That's step 3. Step 3. Die. This is where the strategy becomes almost unbelievable. You borrowed millions against your assets. You lived off those loans. You never sold, so you never paid capital gains tax. When you die, your heirs inherit your assets with something called a stepped-up basis. What does this mean? You bought stock for $10 per share. It's now worth $3,000 per share. Your cost basis is $10. If you sell, you pay capital gains on $2,990 per share. But when you die, your heirs inherit the stock at the current value, $3,000 per share. Their cost basis becomes $3,000. The stepped-up basis. All the gains from $10 to $3,000 vanish. Gone. No taxes ever owed on those gains. Your heirs can now sell the stock at $3,000 per share and pay zero capital gains, because their basis is $3,000. The loans you took out? Your heirs can sell enough stock to pay off the loans, and because of the stepped-up basis, they pay minimal or zero taxes on those sales. Let's walk through the full cycle. Year 1, you buy $10 million in stock. Year 20, your stock is now worth $100 million. Unrealized gain, $90 million. Taxes paid, $0. Year 20 to 40, you borrow $30 million against your $100 million portfolio to fund your lifestyle. Taxes paid, $0. Year 40, you die. Stock is now worth $200 million. You owe $30 million in loans. Your net estate is $170 million. Your heirs inherit the $200 million with stepped-up basis. They sell $30 million to pay off your loans. Their cost basis is $200 million, so they pay zero capital gains on that $30 million sale. Total taxes paid on $190 million in gains over 40 years? Zero. The entire fortune passed to the next generation. No income tax. No capital gains tax. This is buy, borrow, die. This is how generational wealth is built and preserved without ever paying taxes. Why does the tax code allow this? 3 reasons. Reason 1. Unrealized gains have never been taxed in U.S. history. You only pay tax on realized income. This has been the rule for over 100 years. Reason 2. Loans are not income. If loans were taxable, every mortgage, car loan, and student loan would be taxed. Clearly absurd. Reason 3. Stepped-up basis exists to simplify estate taxation and prevent double taxation. The logic is that estate tax already applies to large estates, so heirs shouldn't also pay capital gains tax on inherited assets. These 3 rules make sense individually. Combined, they create the buy, borrow, die strategy. Is it fair? A middle-class worker earning $80,000 per year pays 15 to 20% effective tax rate. A billionaire using buy, borrow, die pays 0 to 3% effective tax rate. Wage income is taxed heavily. Wealth appreciation is barely taxed at all. This is why wealth inequality grows. The tax code favors wealth over work. Can you use buy, borrow, die? Partially. Here's how. Step 1. Buy appreciating assets. Anyone can do this. Max your 401k and Roth IRA. Buy index funds in a taxable brokerage. Buy real estate. Avoid selling. Let assets grow without triggering capital gains. Step 2. Borrow against assets. This is harder. You need significant assets. But some options exist. Home equity line of credit HELOC. Borrow against your house at 6 to 8% interest. Not as cheap as billionaire loans, but accessible. 401k loans. Borrow from your own 401k. This is risky but available. Margin loans. If you have $100,000 plus in a brokerage account, you can borrow 30 to 50% at 8 to 12% interest. Here's the catch. You need at least $500,000 to $1 million in assets before borrowing makes sense. Below that, the interest costs outweigh the tax savings. Step 3. Die and pass to heirs. We're all going to die. Your heirs get stepped up basis automatically if you hold assets until death. Practical application. If you have $1 million in taxable investments and need $50,000, instead of selling and paying $10,000 in capital gains tax, borrow $50,000 at 8% interest, which is $4,000 per year. Your $1 million portfolio grows by 10%, which is $100,000. You pay $4,000 in interest and your net is $96,000 growth. No taxes. If you sold, you'd pay $10,000 in capital gains tax and miss out on growth on the sold shares. This works if you have enough assets. If you only have $50,000 invested, this strategy doesn't work. You need scale. The bigger your portfolio, the more effective buy, borrow, die becomes. Here is the summary. Buy, borrow, die. Step 1. Buy appreciating assets. Hold forever. Never sell. Accumulate unrealized gains. Step 2. Borrow against assets for spending money. Pay interest instead of taxes. Interest is tax deductible in some cases. Your assets keep growing. Step 3. Die. Pass assets to heirs with stepped-up basis. All gains escape taxation forever. This is how billionaires pay 3% tax rates while workers pay 15 to 30%. This is legal. This is the system working as designed. What does this mean for you? If you're building wealth, think long-term. Don't sell investments to fund consumption. Let them grow. As your portfolio grows, borrowing becomes cheaper and more advantageous. If you're frustrated by wealth inequality, understand this is a structural feature of the tax code. Wage income is taxed immediately. Wealth appreciation is taxed only on sale, or never if you die holding it. You can use elements of this strategy. Buy and hold. Borrow when it makes sense. Pass assets to heirs. You won't avoid taxes entirely like billionaires, but you can minimize them. The wealthy didn't write the rules, but they understand them better than anyone. Now you understand them too. Like this video if you learned something. Subscribe to Wealth Can Do for more tax strategies and wealth building education. See you in the next video.